Okay, this first tutorial is just about drawing lines with purpose. No scratching. We are sketching, not scratching. So what you do is take a fresh sheet of paper. A lot of this is important. I want you also we're going to talk a lot about composition and stuff as we go through these too. So I want you to look at a full piece of paper. I want you to find approximately the middle. Get used to that. Split that in half and split that in half. So now we have approximately 4 equal portions. Okay. For this first portion up here, I want you to draw a very light line vertically and a very light line vertically on each edge. Okay. Notice I'm going from beginning to end and back. Okay. If I don't think it's right, I'm drawing the whole line again. I am not scratching a line. Okay. Starting, ending. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is draw a series of lines going from one side. I'm marking, drawing across, ending. Marking, and I'm just practicing drawing straight lines. I'm only good for about this far. I really can't draw a line much farther than that that's straight. I start to wobble. Oh, that one had a lot of weave in it. I was talking too much and not paying attention. Let's see. There we go. That one's straighter. But notice I'm marking where the line begins and ends. All of our drawings, that was terrible, are about communicating. Okay? If you want to get fancy, come back in and see if you can split the middle of what you've done. Straighten out some of those misses. No, that was terrible. Okay, this next portion, series of points. What I want you to do is just practice marking a point, looking at where you're going, and drawing a straight line. Marking, looking where you're going. See how far you can go. How far of a dot can I go from one? Notice I'm always drawing from left and right. That's where I'm comfortable. I'm even going to move it around to draw the line that I want. Move the drawing around because I know I draw straighter than trying for me to pull a line from here to here. Let's say pulling it down. I'm not good at pulling the line as much. I'm not as comfortable drawing that way. I'm much more comfortable almost like I'm not even drawing. I'm figuring out where I'm going to go, mark, draw. Okay, I want you to get in the habit of almost looking at where you're going. So I'm envisioning the line, marking and drawing. And I'm just going to connect a ton of these, no purpose, just seeing how far I can draw with confidence going from one to another. Again, even if I was to, let's say, not do one very well, oh, that's not the line I want, I'm not going to come back in. I want to mark and just draw it again with purpose over the top. Let us understand the correct line. It's fine. We're going to get a lot of just acknowledging that our drawings are growing. Okay, so I want you to go through kind of practicing that as much as possible. Just figuring out, I like the idea of getting used to moving the drawing, the actual pad around so that I get comfortable with the way that I like to draw. Okay, this next one, I'm going to take a point, I'm going to draw a very light line here, and we're going to practice estimating an array. So I'm going to, in essence, feel here, and I'm going to not draw. Watch this. I'm going to do one here. Imagine, hit, and then draw out. So what I'm doing is trying to imagine the line and form the gestalt of the line. Let us envision the rest of that line. Now what we're going to practice is arraying this. You notice what I'm doing is I'm actually making my arm do my hand do the exact same line, and I'm just moving the paper around so that I know I'm doing that. I'm not moving my arm around, I was moving the paper around, right? Can I come back in and add additional lines. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. This time I'm going to try to be exact with the dimensions, so watch this. I'm going to do one way up here, one in the habit of the idea of doing a light line, or even not even having that line there, but being able to draw the thing outside of that. It's a nice skill to have, like being able to start the line farther but imagining that it still lines up with that. That's what we're practicing. What I'm going to do now is actually, instead of just incrementally moving from top to bottom, I'm actually going to just go halves, halves, halves. So right now I'm going to go right in the middle and draw that line. And then I'm going to go to the middle here, draw that line, go to the middle here, draw that line. So what we're doing is we're estimating that each time. We get a pretty accurate breakdown. This is everything. Okay, you're able to do this, your drawings will work out. It's just like a fundamental idea of proportion and estimating. I'm going to draw a line that's close to, that one. Just trying to draw a line that was just off one of the idea that now I'm even coming back in and adding, let's say, a detail line next to each one. How that works. Okay? We're going to take a few of these things together and do one more drawing down here. I'm going to start by doing a horizon line. I think I'm going to just throw this rule out there. If I don't see a horizon line, no matter what, in any of your drawings, in all your drawings, no matter what, the best you're going to get is a B. There's no way you're going to get an A in the class, in studio, electives, or anything, if you don't have a horizon line in your drawings. We use them to communicate and to construct. They are fundamentally important. So I'm going to take all of this kind of information. We're just going to construct a little drawing right here. So we'll even play this as a little. We're going to put one point right there. I'm going to take this idea, draw a light line. I'm going to draw another line over here, a little farther away. Okay. Now I'm going to go practice what we were just doing there. Okay. I'm going to use horizontal over mark here. Go horizontal over light line, putting marks, coming here, out, here, out. Okay. Now, let's take some of these ideas of increments and stuff. I'm going to show you a quick little trick here about understanding how to get things in proportion, because we looked at proportion this way. Let's say if we want to take mid was a little high. Look, if I look at this horizon isn't at midway. The middle of that line from here to here is about here. So I'm going to take that middle point and go, and I'm going to take the middle of that and the middle of that and go out, out. Okay, so those are important to me. I'm going to just double them up a little bit just so I see them a little bit more. Okay. Those are important to me. But now I'm going to take and I'm going to drop a light line right here. Just kind of off this a ways. What I want to do is find out in perspective, if this is, let's say, a wall in perspective, where is the midpoint of this surface in perspective? Now what's interesting is that, if I was to just look at this as a line, I would say the midpoint would be right in the middle here, right? Visually, that would be the midpoint if I was to draw a straight line between there. But because it's in perspective, it's actually much farther back. So a way to find that is I'm going to take this point here and I'm going to ghost a line diagonal, okay? And then I'm going to ghost a diagonal line from here to there. That X that I just drew here is in perspective as an X drawn on that wall. I am actually, that point right there where those two middles cross is where the midpoint of that actual wall is in perspective. Now that wall is two panels, right? That panel and that panel are in perspective. Now what's interesting is I can do that same middle again and say, hey, look, I can take this to here and take this to here, and I've got another middle. Okay. Now I want to break that down one more time, because if I broke this one down evenly, I need to break the other one down evenly, otherwise the perspective looks really weird. So now watch. All right. Now I've got panels on that surface going back. Okay. Now, let's do this one a little differently. We can take, we'll just take that one mid again. Okay. And we're going to say, let's think of this as, what if we try to find, yeah, we're just going to put some pattern on this. This is what's interesting. So we can see, I'm just going to take this idea of the wall of that surface up there, and I can just draw lines on this. Now, it's helpful the same way that we were just looking at this. Here we were finding perfect increments in perspective. If I just want to, let's say, tone this surface or give some texture to it, I'm just going to come back and just put a little more dense, and then I might come back and do a little more dense. And now we're getting that idea of that perspective forming. The texture of that wall is getting more and more intense because we're seeing more and more in perspective. Now, what I'm also going to do is take this idea and say that horizon line is the ground plane way out there. Watch what happens when I do that same thing. I'll take it kind of equal. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and just add some more in, because we know back down there that perspective is tight. I'm going to go a few more. I'm going to come back and do one more set of it to really, so now I got that kind of gradient in that perspective, right? So exercise 1, if I want this to really pop, I can say, hey, watch what happens when I come back in. Right, we start to get some edges. All right.